Ryan Poles is on the thumbnail, but I'm more interested in what Ben Johnson had to say. But let's get it cracking. Yo, no maniacs. Welcome into another edition of Feed the Bears, where we actually doing a podcast on this one for the first time. My boy FFG, man, and this is fun, man. We're gonna get to mix it up a little bit. You'll see the videos, you'll see podcasts here and there. Whenever we can get in here. But I heard a whole lot today, FFG, and thank you guys for being here too. By the way, I heard a lot, FFG. It sounded like a little, but I heard a lot, man. But I don't want to. I can't. I gotta let you go first, man, and then we'll just go back and forth after that.
Well, if you want to start with Ben Johnson, I think that he took the tone that, hey, we're going to bring something new to the team, and everybody at every position, at every level that we're going to bring in will have the same mindset, will have the same goals in mind. We're not going to say, okay, this person's a superstar, this person is a novice, so we're going to coach them a little differently to keep everybody up to speed. No, we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to bring everybody to the same level, regardless of the talent that you already possess in the previous systems. So now all players at every different position group and every side of the ball, offense, defense, special teams, will be working as a singular unit, and they will dominate because of that.
Well, since you went there first, I think when he said that, he was mostly thinking offense, man. But I know he meant both sides of the ball too. But I think he was thinking mostly offense, man. And I think, fundamentally in the developmental stage of what I've seen currently with these Bears coaches, we lack sorely. And so what he's saying is basically we might have some couple of guys here, and we just need to break them down and rebuild them on that side of things. That's how I heard that comment. I don't know if I'm right or you right. It don't matter. It don't really matter. But I heard some stuff, man, and it's just like somebody asked me today privately after seeing a video or something we did, and asked me, like, did we get everything we can get out of Larry Borum? And I was just, he didn't say that directly. I'm just paraphrasing. And I was just like, and I responded to him, I'm like, you know what? I still want to see what he can offer at guard, man, because he's got that body type. If he's playing most of his reps at guard, what could he bring to the table? And so when he started talking about breaking stuff down and building it back up, I don't know if that he's talking about Borum, but I started thinking about him.
I think that his main goal was when he discussed about evaluating the players that they already had on the team and what direction they wanted to go in the future, that he understood that there's a lot of potential and a lot of untapped ability that wasn't being utilized here in Chicago. And so I think that is where he was going with, this is why we're going to do it this way. Because we have a bunch of quality pieces that just haven't been working together for whatever reason based on the previous coaching and the teaching and the techniques, so they can play as one, because the communication obviously hasn't been there. Do you see what I'm saying? On a lot of these different schemes and plays, it doesn't make sense to the players, so they're kind of running around just being out there instead of like everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do on every play.
No, I be the whole time you talking, I'm thinking about the offensive line, man. And I know this: either they don't have a great eye for talent on the offensive line. And I can't say that they have a bad eye. I can't say that, but based on the results, man, they're not where they need to be, man, and they know it. And I just keep thinking offensive line and how heavily they might lean into free agency versus the draft, because part of me heard that they really like what they've seen in the draft versus their needs, what they know they need to get solid at. And the offensive line is in that area, defensive line is in that area, and they sounded like they're going to lean into that heavily on in free agency and the draft. It's just, which do they think has the most to offer? Is it free agency or is it draft? Because if they think the draft offers more, there could be some trades in the works. You never know, man. You know what I mean? Just to get more assets.
I really think that the evaluation process they've already gone through has determined how they're going to draft in a certain way based on what they see this week. And I think they're evaluating, hey, we need this, and this. What is better for us at the draft, and what is better for us to make sure we already have when we go out in free agency. So when we get to the draft, we have more flexibility.
Got to lay it on thick in free agency, man. That's been my philosophy. You heard me say that a many a day. Don't go into the draft greedy or needy. You know what I mean? Just be ready to strike when a great player comes up. Because if you take care of your business in free agency, that's exactly where you should be. You should be in an advantageous spot where whatever comes on the board, they're really, really, because I heard playmakers a lot. I heard playmakers twice. They're looking for playmakers on both sides of the ball. So what that tells me is a certain thing. You're looking for an instant, like, I know that I put you on this team and instantly you're going to be an impact player. And so, I heard a lot of stuff, man, but that's part of what I heard. What'd you think?
Oh, no. When he talked about, especially Ben Johnson, when he talked about the offensive line, he said, yeah, people turn around all the time. Did you see what Carolina did last year? He said they went out, got their people in free agency, and by the mid-season, they was rolling.
And most people heard that as immediately they're going to think, oh, he's going after Trey Smith. I don't believe that.
No, but that's not what he also said that there's players on the team that aren't being utilized properly. So we need to see what we got. And now we can coach them up properly. And because he said, we have teachers now. I didn't go after my buddies. I went after the dudes that I know is going to make somebody better at every level on this team, at every position group that we have. So the playmakers that we choose don't got to be the superstar. They got to be out being an impact player constantly and work as one. And that's the kind of mentality I want to have a coach to have.
Another thing that stuck out to me was Ryan Poles. And this is just me constantly. It seems like I say this at least once a week, that Ryan Poles doesn't work in a vacuum. It's not like any player that's come here, whether it be in the draft or free agency, by any avenue he got here, he didn't do that shit in a vacuum by himself. He did it in concert. Matter of fact, he's getting directions from the coaches. And so what I'm getting at is, at the end, he has to keep all the receipts at the end of the day. He's stuck with them. But where they want to go moving forward is basically going to be heavily leaned on these coaches, Ben Johnson and these coaches. I came away with that impression 110%. And I think that's the healthy way to be. Get all those coaches in the room and you guys decide what y'all need to cook. And basically Ryan Poles just pulls the trigger. I'm pretty solid in my feeling about that's exactly how the dynamic is.
Another thing that I thought was very illuminating was they went down and said, hey, the whole front office went position by position, said, here's what we got, here's what we need, here's how we're going to achieve that, and this is why. So not just the scouts, not just the GM, the coach, but all the major position coaches were involved in that decision. So when they go out in free agency, they go out in the draft, they already know who they are eyeing to make the team better and why, because based on what they're going to be able to teach the individuals coming in to better the team to make them impact players if they're not already.
Hey, FFG, I do think they're still in the process of what direction to go. And I don't mean by direction meaning they don't know what the F they're doing. I'm talking about what should you prioritize and which players should you prioritize what and where. Should you prioritize these players in free agency, however many they are. Let's say there's 4, 5, who knows? Is that more valuable than the draft? And I think they're probably coming to a consensus about that now, but I can tell that the process is still fluid. You know what I mean? They're going to get in here, exchange views on some of these meetings with these players, and it's all kind of stuff that's going to go on. But I think Ryan Poles is set up pretty good, man, because I think he got a pretty good mixture. I mean, Ben Johnson set this up where he's got a pretty good mixture of sounding boards, man. The defensive coordinator really sticks out to me. Just knowing that's going to be in the room and they're going to have more leeway than Ryan Poles makes me feel good. And that might sound like, well, why shouldn't Ryan Poles have more? Because he's the damn GM and the coaches got to cook with it. That's why.
No, I believe you're absolutely right. I just want to give a quick shout out to It's Crimson Your Dig and Mr. Mayhem 69 in the building on a Tuesday afternoon. So thank you guys for hopping in, showing us some love. I really think that what they're doing now is they're looking at, we need this, we need that, and this is the kind of athlete we want. Now let's go evaluate these kids. Just check their head out, what they think, how they maneuver. You know, what we heard about them. Is it true? Is it not true? And now we can say, okay, free agency, we got to get this, and this. And then we can draft based on what we saw, this, and this.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. I see y'all, fellas. Good. Thank y'all for coming in here and kicking it with us and being always off. Appreciate y'all, man, because this is so totally off schedule. Something I was like, man, let me get my guy FFG on the phone. Let's see if he want to do a quick podcast. I know by the time I called you, I just knew you seen everything, but you hadn't even seen nothing. That surprised me because you say you be on top of things.
Squalls, man, I got to work too. I got something to do. I try to maintain omnipresent focus on the Bears, especially in the off season, but I got to make money too, and sometimes it's all about cash, yo. Cash worth everything around me to be able to have this opportunity. So I got to keep 100 in both aisles.
Another thing that popped out, and I know you heard this part too. Like I've been saying for a while, Braxton Jones' job should be up for grabs. And I'm pretty sure that it is, based on what I heard Ryan Poles say, talking about what to do at that position. It was clear that, they like Braxton Jones, but Braxton Jones ain't getting ready to get handed this job. They're getting ready to up the ante a little bit in between the draft and free agency. That's going to be a big ass hill to climb for him, but he's definitely not going to be the starter and have the job given to him. I would just say that.
Ryan Poles flat out said there's going to be competition. It ain't no you getting the job. It ain't no we already are set at such and such and such and such. They didn't say nothing like that for Nat Blair, and he didn't want to go into evaluation of other people that he already knew that he did the evaluation on coming out of college. They're really trying to keep everything they're going to do close to the vest. I really like that because they're not going to tell nobody how they're going to run this in the direction they're going for the foundation to build up. Like one thing I thought was really poignant that he said, well, why didn't you, what do you build off from last year? He said, nothing. He said, every year's a new year. We start fresh and we take what we already have, change it around a little bit, make it better based on our philosophy. So at the end of the season, we know our direction we need to head. Not that, we were on a winning streak or we were doing really well, which Detroit probably had that mentality that they got better and better and better. So this is what was working. He didn't say that. He said, we're going to evaluate everything every year to make a better situation for all players going forward, especially based on the coaching staff evaluation of each player.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I keep thinking about, because I got so much, tape on my mind watching all these players, man. I keep finding dudes, man, and I wonder, do they get together and get excited about some of this O-line tape that I see? And how you thinking up the interior line or get a new tackle is knowing exactly what the product is. And I'm telling you, I don't know who said first that this is a weak the offensive line draft. It's like flabbergasted every time I turn on some tape, and I'm just like, I think they might be coming together and being like, I know it's a lot of people that want us to draft an offensive lineman first. Whether we keep that 10 pick or we trade it back, whatever you do, get an offensive lineman first. But I don't know. I think the middle, the third round is going to be some sweet offensive linemen come off that board. I'm telling you, dude, straight up. And, I know that they know that they coming together and looking at all the tape that I be looking at, they know it. And, so people might be a little polarized if they don't select the offensive lineman first. And I think that's going to bother some people.
Oh no, I think that first gonna be a quick shout out to Bears fan Goomba and Victor Perez. Here's the thing: it's not the top end people they can fawn over. Is
Oh, FFG probably gonna pop back in. I think he froze up for a minute. I'm gonna just read a couple of comments while I'm in here. And I'm reading yours, Squalls. I got you. He says, I watched the Savion Williams tape. Man, he's a weapon. Every time I watch the clips, I have to reevaluate the Bears draft strategy, how the Bears draft strategy should be. And man, dude, I ain't Cornelius, I'm telling you, man. And thank you for that comment, man. I'm telling you, the stuff I see in the on film is they got to be excited about this draft
offensive
board.
line is not pretty, so they're not jumping on a jock like they should. And give the reason why is because they don't want to pay him, and that's why free agency is for to blow up a lot of teams because they don't have to pay.
FFG, you was gone for about seemed like 5 minutes. Like we couldn't even hear you. You was frozen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so we were just in here talking. I was reading chats and comments. He was talking about Savion Williams and how explosive that cat is. I don't know if you checked him out yet. But
I've seen it. I've been reading the chat. That's why I was giving the update. What was the last thing you heard?
On who? I don't remember exactly what you were saying. All I know is you froze up, and I can't remember exactly what you said.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I was just trying to, as far as the offensive line conversation goes, they're just not a bunch of people that they want to latch onto as a top such and such and such and such. Like in most drafts, there's clear cut top 5, top 10 linemen that they want to be able to back as far as the next superstar such and such. But in the totality of the current draft, there is a gang of offensive linemen, both tackle, guard, and center, and a lot of tweeners that can play multiple positions that are not being talked about because they're not the top names at the top school that they want to be able to profile. But they're all over the defensive linemen.
Well, I'm going to take this in another direction because I was listening to, I think it might have been Courtney Cronin that might have asked him something along the lines of, getting an impact edge in free agency or in a trade or something like that. I couldn't really completely hear the question. I heard the answer more than anything. And what I thought what he said was he mentioned the words, quote, star power, unquote. He said, and he was talking about the defense and responding to that question. He was just like, well, he doesn't feel like they need star power. And so what that meant to me, right away, I started thinking, oh, shit, we're going to get Chase Young. Chase Young used to be considered a star, but he's no longer considered that by at least, most of the people, given the estimation. And I think that's important, man, because I don't think you have to go for that right now in order to be able to. I think you keep your assets right now and you go get Chase Young and try to attain more assets instead of trading them away, trying to get that star power.
Basically, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You didn't hear nothing I said?
No, I heard it all.
Well, go ahead.
No, I thought you were continuing. That's why I shut up. No, what the question basically was, now that you have the money and that you got rid of DeMarcus Walker, now that you freed up that space, are you going to go get you a superstar basically to play opposite Montez Sweat? Because that was the question. And he was like, well, we want quality. We don't necessarily have to go out and get the top name for trade purposes or whatever, or paying free agency to make that happen. The evaluation has been done by the coaching staff. So we're going to get an impact player. Don't worry about it. But it ain't going to be maybe who you thought it was going to be, because we have a lot of things that we want to shore up around here to make the entire team impact players, not just one guy.
Well, let me read one of these comments on here. This is from our guy, Ant Moss, man. He says, I don't want to ask this, but if the fans want Smith and Poles listens, I think he meant for a question mark, then Poles pulls a Davis, and I'm hoping not. Will the fan base blame Poles?
Of course they will.
Yeah, they're gonna blame him, and
that's a simple question.
yeah, they're gonna blame him, no question about it. But if it happens that Ben Johnson actually wants him to go spend that much money on an offensive guard, I question both of those logics, man, because I don't see it, man. I don't think if you know what I know, you ain't got to go spend that kind of money on a goddamn guard. You just got to know what's out there, man, and be willing to project that kid, get him, and change the dynamic of your room. Or whether he's in free agency, it's 24, 25, 26-year-old guards in free agency that you can put on this team and have them here for a long time. And so, yeah, Poe's gonna get the blame. Hell yeah.
Poe's gonna get the blame and the praise regardless of what happens for every trade, every signing, every draft pick. That's just gonna be, especially if it doesn't work out too. We win a Super Bowl or we make the playoffs, something like that. Because if you go and get you a Davis and then we 11-5 and we in the playoffs, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. You know what I mean? But in this situation, I really think the name that not coming up enough in any of these conversations is Dan Rochar. That is a dude who's going to tell them, this is what we need to make this offense work. Because I know he's been in Ben Johnson's ear left and right. Like, look, I put out maulers. I put out Pro Bowlers. Here's what we need, and here's how I'm going to teach them to play to fit your system.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, in that draft room, when they decide on who to pick where, yeah, it should be Ryan Poles should just be pretty much quiet for the most part and wait till they get done, in my opinion. They know what they need more than, I'm not saying that Ryan Poles doesn't know, I'm sure he does. But collectively, those coaches like Rochar, man, they need to be freaking King Kong in that room, man, in order for this to get better, because that's how you know for sure it's going to get better when they make the decisions and hand them the Poles to, turn them into the desk. Shit.
Right. I'm talking about right now as far as free agency goes. Here's how we get better immediately. So when we get to the draft, now if you guys want to get a specialty player for this or that or the best player available, yeah, I can work with them because of. Or I could teach this guy how to be, a thug in my system and go out there and we just run rip shot over cats left and right because we got this already in place. And that's what it should be. Not that, I got to draft Benito. I got to get this guy. No, it should be like, okay, here's our options. And if we don't get this, we're going to get that because it's going to make us better here. So every single draft pick should already have a focus on what position they get better at or where they can get a potential superstar going forward, where they're not paying somebody outrageous amounts of money going forward, because now they can get coached up properly.
Well, I'm getting a lot of good comments in here, man. People are interested in this conversation because, I know one thing. I heard this, that sounds like DeAndre Swift's going to be here. I know a lot of people were,
right.
A lot of people were disenchanted with DeAndre Swift, and that's because they didn't see production. But I think in production, knowing how it happens and understanding how it happens, me being a person that understands it, I tell people all the time, man, you can't blame DeAndre Swift. All of a sudden, he didn't come in here and just forget how to play football. He's a great football player. He just didn't have the consistency up front and the actual people movers that he needed to. Or he'd have ran that ball a whole lot better than he did. So I'm glad to know that he's going to still be here, and they're going to go out and go hire the hammer from out of the draft somewhere. I don't know if that hammer is in free agency. I'm talking about this next running back. They're going to get him out of the draft, and I think he's going to be a hammer, man. When I heard that they like Swift and he's coming to camp and they want to, work together, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Clydesdale running back, some kind.
Oh, Ben Johnson was adamant about, hey, he's an explosive player in the passing game and the running game. The line needs to play better. We need to have a line. That way we can utilize his talent. So big up to Jay Sanders, Foster Covers, King Book of World up in the house. That it's going to be a committee situation. It's not going to be just Swift here, but they're going to profile him, as well as they're probably going to get a kid like what's the boy out of Oklahoma State, a big, powerful back, in the later rounds, maybe
Ollie
Ollie Gord, right? Somebody like that you can, so you can bring the thunder and the lightning, and you're going to have a way to push people around down the stretch of games. Where what also caught my eye, man, and I'm not sure if you heard this, that he went to a guru about the clock management and what they're going to teach Caleb and the rest of the team about being prepared. And he's only halfway through how he wants to be able to implement this, because he knows that is a big problem in Chicago. And that's the reason why we lost a lot of games, because they know that we should have beat them, that we should have beat the Vikings, that we should have beat Green Bay the second time. We damn sure should have beat Washington. So he's looking at every single aspect of making the team better. And I thought that was impressive.
Speaking about that, I do think this, man. And one of the things that Ryan Poles, and I heard him sitting down with Florio after this, was he was talking about why he was so confident in Ben Johnson. You talking about clock management and having the instincts on knowing what to do when exactly in that moment, because it's a pressurized situation. And so what I'm about to translate, I think translate to somebody having a feel for the game and being able to manage the clock and the game, period. But he was talking about how, because Ben Johnson does have I like his flow of his play calling, that sequencing that he does, knowing when to call what, and knowing the down and distances and everything, and executing that stuff well translates to he's going to be one of those coaches that flow with the flow of the game. And instinctively, you're going to know when to do what, when, and why. You know what I mean? So I feel confident about that with him.
Oh, I definitely do. And I think that him being coachable enough as a head coach to learn from someone else tells you all you need to know about his coaching style, that he's not going to take everything for granted, that he knows everything. He's continuing to learn things that, may be a little minutia for a head coach that's done it for a while, but he's coming into the situation having to make those decisions now. So he's got an everyday class that he can take in on how to be better. So I really like that aspect of him taking advantage of every single, partner in the room to be able to make himself as knowledgeable and as well-versed as possible going forward. So these aren't the kind of things that we have to worry about in week 18 or week 10, 11, 12, 13, week 7, where you ain't sure what to do. And we look bad on TV. We look bad in the eyes of the rest of the league because we're not winning.
Yeah. I heard a whole bunch. I'm still thinking, I'm like searching my catalogs in my head from some stuff I heard Ryan Poles, but I think more than anything, I already said what I wanted to say about that is how he's gonna, really lean on what they really want, you know what I mean, and kind of let these coaches dictate, and be ready to strike if something happens all of a sudden. They're gonna put their foot on the gas if they see somebody in free agency, and making sure if it's somebody that Ben Johnson wants, whoever that dude is or dudes, that they're ready to jump on the gas and make the process quick and execute the plan. And so there's going to be some big moves. It might not be as big as a lot of people want them to be. Everybody's thinking mega trade. Some people are thinking signing, a $20 million guard or whoever it is, Josh Sweat. We just don't know, man. But I know one thing: they're going to, when they see the guy that they want, they're going to probably overpay for him.
I believe they're probably going to determine the individual that they want, which they consider a playmaker. That may not be a superstar, but gets the job done on a consistent basis. I think what they're probably looking more towards is like the linebacker that we signed from Philadelphia, that is a consummate pro, always in the right position, always, making plays constantly for the Bears. And that's what you want. You want 10 of them do, because he should have made the Pro Bowl in the last 2 seasons, in my opinion.
Who?
You know, God, I can't think of his name. The outside linebacker, weak side.
Are we talking about TJ?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Is it TJ? Yeah, TJ. Yeah, we're talking about TJ. But TJ is a bad, that was one of the best signings they made. They didn't pay an arm and a leg for him. But TJ out there, he'd be balling. You see what I'm saying? And that's the kind of catch you want on the team. You want a bunch of TJs out there at your position, making a difference on every play, playing hard, being aggressive, and knowing what you're supposed to do and having quality instincts to be able to change the game and be able to dictate to the other team.
Well, before we get out of here, I got one more little something to talk about. I don't know if you knew, but 2 things real quick. Teron Armstead, offensive tackle out of Miami, who already had, he was with Dan Rouchard. And so anyway, he's going to be available, Teron Armstead, and also got my antennas up. I've been saying this for a couple of years. They probably should move on Jonathan Allen. So they're giving Jonathan Allen a chance to seek a trade. But I think ultimately he's coming off a pec tear and had surgery. I think they're going to teams are going to probably try to see if he's there in the next couple of weeks. If ain't nobody moved on, they're going to try to get him after he's cut. But that's out there, man. Jonathan Allen definitely is a fit here.
You know what? There's a handful of players that I've been looking at around the league that are unhappy about their situation. They're not getting the coaching that they really need to be successful. And I think when you asked me a couple of shows ago about why Cats would like to come to Chicago, I think because not only can they get better, earn more money, but they're going to be in a system that allows them to flourish. And I think that is what a lot of players would rather have than making $50 million. I can make $40 million, but I'm going to be the best player I can be on a winning franchise going forward. And I know they got my back. And I know that we're going to be progressing on both sides of the ball, where it ain't just we depend on the defense or we just depend on the offense or we need the defense to come up with 1 stop a game type of deal where we're getting ran over for 3.5 quarters. I don't think that appeals to a lot of Cats.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, man. And I've been having football fantasies, man. And in my head, bro, I see this defensive line front having these 3 players in my head, and this was just today's news added to the fire. But I see Chase Young on the other side of Montez Sweat, and a reunion of those 2 and Jonathan Allen somehow, because that was what I liked from their defensive front. And I don't think people realize how ferocious that front was that, Chico had down there with the Commanders, man. But those dudes, until it came down time to pay them, they were ferocious, man. Those 3 together. Then you add Javon Dexter to that, Andrew Billings, and whoever they're going to get in the draft, Austin Booker, you cooking. And I think another thing, last thing, they mentioned that you can't, questions were asked to polls, I think, and it mentioned, will you be willing to go after a playmaker? And talking about drafting them after, let's say you grabbed an edge rusher in free agency. You grab one.
Right.
And then you go to the draft. Are you still going to draft one? And he was just like, basically,
yeah.
we can't get enough of those. Hell yeah, we're going to draft. We're going to double down. And I love to hear that.
Oh, no, that was music to my ears, because I would love for them to be able to have a solidified front 4 going into the draft. And then now you bringing in your young studs to back them up, and even the ones on the team that you have. So the competition to get on the field is going to be no joke going forward. So what he said last year about competition to make this team is going to be hard. I want to be that much harder going into this season.
Yeah, I want to keep going for a little while longer, man, because I'm getting a little juiced.
Yes, sir.
Up.
I got some time. I'm on lunch. I got an hour.
I mean, we could talk what you want to talk about, because it's going to end up me talking about players, and I'm trying to hold my tongue, man, because I see so many. it's some dudes in there, man. I tell you one thing, this next show that we do Friday is going to be as thick as last week's was with some dudes, man. I'm not just spending my time looking at random dudes. You know what I mean? It's just like if he's just a guy, you typically ain't gonna hear me stand on the table about him. But if I see a dude, those guys end up on the screen when we having these shows and me talking about it in shorts. I'm trying to find dudes. You know what I mean? That's what I think we're missing, man. We're missing some dudes. You know, tone setting guys. You know what I mean? Some snotty. I need a little bit of that going on, man, and we don't have nearly enough of it.
Well, I'm looking at the chat, and King Bookworld is like, I'm in wait to see the mode when it comes to polls in the draft, and will we shine because of the new staff input? And I think that's a lot of people's thought process as well, based on the new coaching staff's input on what to get, not only in free agency, but in the draft, where he sits back and says, okay, this is what we need. I got you. I'm going to get them. You know what I'm saying? Or we could trade back, or we can trade up. If this is what we really need, yep, I'm going to take your advice. I'm not going to be the driving force behind getting a certain individual. I'm going to let the coaching staff determine everything that goes on from now on, because that's how the outlook of the Bears is going to be based on the people that actually have to call the X's and O's.
I like what King Booker is saying. He says, I think the draft room is going to be different. Johnson and Allen going to be in there like yay or nay. Hell yeah. I love that, man, because they got vets in there. They got vets in there. I've done this. You Dan Rochard, you're like, dude, I know what it is. I know what you got to go get. You got to go get some fat boys that can move a little bit. And then he's gonna beef up this offensive line with some thick, sturdy guys that can move. You know what I mean? Length is great, but I'm telling you, it's a boatload of dudes. And I got a few of them out there as it is, like Miles, what's his name? Miles Frazier from LSU, man. Those guys right now, he's got everything it takes to be a starting guard in the NFL. Like, plug his ass in, let's ride. Like, there's guys there, you know what I mean? So, you know, all that wanting to pay that much money for a guard. I know people love this guy. I just can't wrap my mind around it after I see the film out here. I just can't see it. It's just, these dudes are really good, man.
I think the evaluation process is going to take a step up based on what the scouts have already brought to the table, what the coaches want. And one of the most poignant things I saw about this interview with Ben Johnson, he was like, look, I got quality coaches now. I got Antoine Randall L. You know what I'm saying? I got a partner that's going to be my assistant head coach that's going to help build not just the receiving room, but the offensive play calling. Declan Doyle should have been an offensive coordinator for the guy that just got hired as a coordinator for the Lions. He talked to him. He was like, yo, this kid is no joke. So I think he went and got a lot of diamonds in the rough. And even with the running backs coach that we got, Bieniemy, he praised these guys because everybody's running about that running back room. So he was like, look, we finna be no joke at a bunch of different spots because we got teachers and they're not going to be slackers and they're not going to run around like they don't care about this play because they ain't getting the ball. Nope. It's going to be on point every single play, and we're going to disguise everything that we do because we're going to be able to run so much stuff off of how we play. And I thought that was really special to me.
Let me read a comment here. He's King Booker. Shout out to my guy King with the wrench mob. He says, I don't watch college ball. I don't watch college ball, so I leave it up to y'all experts about the newcomers. You know what? I'm your Huckleberry King. I'm your Huckleberry dog. I got you covered. I got you covered and smothered like some potatoes and pork chops, boy. I got you. And we're going to keep bringing them on out, man, because I am doing a whole bunch of work, and you guys should know about these guys. And I know you don't, you know, like it's a lot of people like King that ain't really trying to watch all that college ball or don't like to watch film, man. I know there's more people not like me than like me. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm glad that y'all trust what whatever we put out here is, you know, I go through the process to make sure I know what I'm talking about, and everybody else does too, man.
Right. Squalls is like, well, what's your assessment of Hollis Pierce? I think he's a quality outside linebacker / defensive end.
No.
He's a
Holland Pierce is an offensive lineman.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm thinking about.
I got you.
I'm thinking about James Pierce. My bad.
Holland Pierce is, that bulldozer that he has in him, that road grader and that pile driver, it translates more to guard to me than it does tackle, because he does have some, his kick shots are a little slow, man. I can see him. Sometimes it's about looking. Sometimes it's about looking at the second thing that happens when you evaluate, especially an offensive tackle. Let's just say you got a guy attacking Holland Pierce from the outside. He's about to do a speed rush, try to bend around the corner, and Holland Pierce sets it set like that. But when that guy decides to double move that and, let's say, bend back inside, maybe spin or whatever it is, swim over, is he ready? Are his feet quick enough to self-correct? And so that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at when I look at somebody like Holland Pierce. I think some of the quicker guys will probably get the better of him more than he gets the better of them. And so I think his traits more align with guard to me, but a powerful one. You put that guy at guard, man, you're going to be moving people around, dude, straight up. I would love to see him get drafted here just to transition to guard.
I see a lot of these top quality tackles in this draft as great guard prospects, because I think there is some studs out there that are just space movers, have great hands, quick feet, but they may not be long enough arms, or they may not have the speed to keep up with guys running 4.4 or 4.5 running around the edge. But they can damn sure push the pile up the middle, take on 330-pound tackles, where they can keep the pocket clean, because what they were talking about is they want that wedge. They want that, that semicircle or that arc where Caleb has time to throw, or if it breaks down, he can move in whichever direction where the lane opens up to take off. And now it's just him versus a linebacker that may be back in coverage, or he can hit the outlet by just stepping up or making a throw downfield. So I think that is way more important, because our biggest issue last year was the middle of the line was getting killed. Straight up. There's none you can say about that.
How about unalived? That works. But anyway, man, I'm going to read one of these comments that my guy Vic Perez has put this up. He says, I'm confused on the GM role. Does GM take into account what their coaches want or not? ? If so, isn't that what did during the Flus regime? Does that? So if he does with the Ben Johnson, is success or failure on him? Yeah, people blame Poles for all those decisions that were made while Flus was here, and I believe that Poles was already built in a way where he was going to lean on the coaches for decisions. I don't believe Poles should get all the blame for all those decisions. Man, it's Flus's job, man. Flus is the head coach, and his coaching staff decided which one of those guys that he went and got. That wasn't just Poles. He didn't just go in a room and said, I'm decided to make this choice and give me Velus Jones. No, they wanted those guys. And so he's built the same way now. And Ben Johnson and them, you just hoping that the coaches really, really know what they're doing. And I got a good feeling that they do. I don't think we're going to miss in free agency or the draft, bro. But, ultimately, Vic, it's going to always, no matter what happens, Poles is going to be the ultimate, person with the receipts at the end of the day. They're going to check the receipt, and if it's not working, he's going to be the first to go.
Well, Victor, unfortunately, GM is always going to be the whipping boy or the guy carried around on somebody's shoulders when you win or lose. That's just how it is. And GM's real job is to evaluate players, usually with the scouting department, where the new players are coming in, and with the player development department to see what's out there in free agency and will that work for the team. And then he lets the coach know, hey, here's what we spotted. What do you want to do? The draft, though, is the coaches say, hey, this is what we got. Here's what we need. Go get them. Now, if that player doesn't work out, GM is only going to get crushed. But the coaches never get blamed for telling somebody, or a scout never gets blamed for telling somebody that this is the guy we should draft. And when they're a bust or they don't work out or they're constantly hurt, that GM is always going to be at fault. They never take the blame. And that's the problem with the media. That ain't got nothing to do with the fan base. That has to do with the media on how people are evaluated and doing their jobs.
Either way it goes, I know this, man. We setting up, and I got a little bit happy about what I heard, man, because it seems like, we get to talking about individual players and where to draft them and all that kind of stuff. But what I get to thinking about first is how well aligned are these guys? Are they, are they clinking on the same note? They singing the same tune? Can they come together and, you know what I mean, and come to a consensus on who to get? Is this draft good enough to maybe make some trades, maybe a trade or something to see if we can get some more assets? Is 7 enough? I wonder, do they think that? I mean, I don't think 7 is enough. I think you can probably add a couple, 2, 3 more picks to this draft if you do some things. I'm not advocating who to go trade or who to move around. I'm saying they have options, and I'm listening to them, and it seems like they got it all figured out about which direction they want to go. It's just about who. I think that's where it is now. It's about who.
Actually, we got 8 draft picks. We got 2 seconds and 2 6, but
8.
Yeah, we got 8. I really think that they're going to determine in the building prior to even, once they come back from the draft or the combine this week, that, hey, look, we saw all these prospects that we want to have that could benefit us if we don't get such and such and such and such in the free agency. I think that's the evaluation process that's going on now. Not that we have to have a tight end, we have to have a running back, we have to have blah, 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 blah. And so once you figure that out, because I'm pretty sure that Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen been all in Pole's grill for the last 3-4 weeks. Here's how we're going to run the team. Here's how our system is going to run, and it changes a little bit more with the, acquisition of the offensive coordinator, the passing coordinator, with Randall L. All these people are giving quality input, and that's what he said. He said, look, I'm getting, a library of how to run the team. I'm just not going to say this is how we're going to do it. I'm taking a book from over here, a book from over there, this encyclopedia, and then I'm going to map out a strategy. So now we know where we're going to go because we know what we want to do. And I still got all these options I can tinker with going forward.
So Joseph Archer, my guy, shout out to Joseph, the Super Nomaniac. He said, Nomad, what did I miss? Oh, man, quite a bit, man. I think they left some. So everybody's talking about, I'm just going to assume Joseph hadn't seen anything yet and doesn't know what's going on. And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm going to say it anyway. So the Bears had a presser down in Indianapolis where the coach spoke, GM spoke, and they left, it was a whole bunch of direction questions. What are you going to do next? And with the options you have, what about Caleb? There's a bunch of stuff. And they responded to it. And we're responding to it with some stuff that we were talking about, man. But there's a lot that you took from that. Both of those conversations, man. So it was the biggest thing is we just don't know whether they're going to value the free agent market or the draft more. Could they add some more picks or want to add more picks because they really like the draft more than free agency, or is it the other way around? And we just talking about a whole bunch of stuff in between. But yeah, this was cool, man. I do need to get out of here because I haven't eaten yet, man, and it's too late in the day, dude. Just now eating, but this is where we are, man. So let's get some shout outs and some highlights.
All right. I love there were so many people in the chat today. Even legit Pack fan was here. Crimson, one of the first people. I think he was the first person in the chat. Foster Covers. B Minor jumped in real quick. Joseph Archer, thank you. Super No Maniac for getting down with us. Of course, Squalls, number 2 No Maniac. Smitty Q jumped in. Victor Perez, King. You know, a lot of people, Ant Moss, you know, Bears fan Goomba. I mean, this has just been a fact, you know, Ant Moss. A lot of people want to know what's really going to take place going in the future. And I really think that is where Jay Sanders jumped in for a little while. You know, I really think that everybody is focused on how this coaching staff is going to influence us going forward. So I don't think I missed anybody. If I have, don't be mad. Oh, I think what was I missing? Oh yeah, Mr. Mayhem started us off as well. So we're just have to see. We have to sit back and watch the show, y'all. But I think, you know, based on the credits and the previews that I've seen so far, I think it's going to be a quality film that's just going to get better and better as, you know, the movie goes on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys for being here. Before we go any further, let me hold on for a second. Damn it, man. All right, here we go. Don't forget, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central, your boys get back together, and we're going to hit it up, man, real tough, and talk about a whole bunch of stuff that we were talking about today, I'm sure, and whatever else is going on in the world. Maybe, who knows what we're going to be talking about, but that's why we do it, some extra sauce, so we can just add a little bit more to, you know, the regular Daily Bears content, man. That's the idea, and that's what we're trying to bring across, is bringing in other conversations. But make sure you join that and have a good time when you get there. Thank everybody for being here, and anybody that hasn't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, especially if you like this new daily stuff that we're doing. I'm working my butt off to make sure you guys get something out there every day. You know what I mean? And we give you guys some content, because everybody's looking for the same stuff. You know what I mean? And we're going to try to do our job to be quality about it, best that we can. And we're going to get better moving forward. But just committing to you guys to make sure that you're getting daily stuff. I love doing it now. You know what I mean? At first didn't feel so good about it, but you know, it's cool, man. I enjoy all the new subs that's coming in, and we appreciate you guys, man. So if you're not sub to the channel, man, please consider doing that. And before we get out of here, I want to say, you know, very, very short something to you guys that can maybe marinate with you right now. It may not, it might happen later on, but be the better person. Be the better person. It's a lot of people out here that will try to trigger you and goad you into a place that you don't need to be. And emotionally, we have to be mature enough as people and human beings to know emotional maturity is a thing, man. You got to not react in the moment when people want you to react and be a puppet on the string, man, especially when you're out there on the road and in the car and somebody jacking around and brake checking you and all that kind of stuff. And he gets out the car hot. Don't meet that fire with fire, man, because you might not live to have a conversation about it, man. It's not worth it, man. Leave that guy where he is, you know, whoever it is. But I just wanted to leave you guys with that, man. Just try to be the better person, man. And, you know, whatever that means to you, it means to you. But thank you guys for being here. I got to leave you with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not be a prisoner of your own mind. Well, with that being said, we are out.
Peace.